Welcome back to Men, Menopause, and Miracles, where we have honest conversations about the beautiful, messy, and sometimes maddening and often miraculous journey of midlife. I'm your midlife wingwoman, Suzanne, and today we're talking about something I believe every woman deserves to hear. You are allowed to become your own health advocate. Not because you distrust your doctor, not because you have to become an expert in every lab result, diagnosis, or hormone, but because you know your body. And sometimes when something doesn't feel right, we need to be willing to keep asking questions, keep learning, and keep advocating for ourselves until someone actually listens. My guest today knows this journey intimately. This is episode 63 From Pain to Purpose, Anna Herrera's Hormonal Health Journey. Anna is the founder and CEO of Hormone University and Glow, a mission born from her own deeply personal experience with hormonal health. In her 20s, Anna was diagnosed with stage 4 endometriosis. Her journey brought unimaginable pain, multiple surgeries, infertility, and ultimately surgical menopause. And after years of frustration with the lack of clear, accessible information around hormonal health, Anna decided she wasn't going to simply live with confusion. She started asking questions, she started talking to hundreds of women, and eventually she created Hormone University, an educational platform designed to help women better understand their hormones, their symptoms, their bodies, and their options. And she later expanded that mission with Glow, a line of products developed with scientific and medical expertise to support women navigating hormonal challenges. But what I find most compelling about Anna's story isn't simply what she built, it's why she built it. Because sometimes the hardest thing about a health journey isn't getting the diagnosis, it's realizing that you have to become an advocate for yourself. Anna, welcome to Menopause Miracles.
Thank you, Suzanne, so much. And hello to everyone who's listening. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so great to have you here. And so our listeners can get to know you a little better. Where are you on the midlife meter? Are you just starting in the middle?
Yeah, that's a great question.
It's an
I
interesting
don't know.
question, right?
Our whole mission and philosophy is we don't talk about age, we talk about phase of life or symptoms, right?
Yes.
But yeah, I would say I'm right in the middle of midlife.
Nice. Nice. And let's start with the woman before Hormone University. You were diagnosed with stage 4 endometriosis in your 20s. So for someone who have may so listeners who have not heard the word before, don't really understand what that means, what is endometriosis and what does stage 4 mean?
Yes, so we've just started talking about endometriosis probably the last 6, 7 years, but it's a condition that is extremely painful and it affects 10 to 15% of women.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, because diagnosis takes from 7 to 10 years, the actual number might be even higher than that. But what it is Suzanne, and everyone who's listening here, I think at this point, maybe you have or might have heard of someone who has got it. Maybe it's a friend, or maybe it's your sister, or someone in your circle. Because just with that stat,
Mhm.
if you know 10 women, most likely one of them has endometriosis. And it's basically the it's a very under-researched condition, but from what we know at the moment, it's the lining of the uterus gets that tissue gets implanted,
Mhm.
usually in your reproductive organs, and causes immense inflammation. And what's interesting about and at the same time daunting about this condition is that it kind of acts like cancer. It can get implanted in different organs. You can have endometriosis in your eyes or in your lungs. It's a really strange mechanic as to where it travels. In my case, stage 4 was because it was implanted. So that basically means it gets in different organs. And in my case, it was just everywhere, in every single reproductive organ, and also in my colon. So I had deep infiltration in my colon as well.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, take us back to your 20 something self. What were some of the signs or signals that you were experiencing, whether physically or emotionally, before you got the diagnosis? Because obviously, this is all new, and I can't imagine what signs your body you're having to kind of let you know to get help.
Yes. I was going through really excruciating pain days and days before my period, really severe bloating, difficulty going to the bathroom. And it was just, I attributed it to PMS, but it was just too extreme. I had headaches, I was throwing up, and it was a very, very, very heavy period, to the point where I remember planning my clothes and my life around my period. So I would never wear white, or I would never wear clothing that would mean I was in, inverted commas, in danger of staining my clothes, because that was happening. And I remember also being feeling kind of embarrassed if I would stay at somebody's house, because I would wake up in the middle of the night making sure that I wouldn't stain their mattress. And
Yeah.
it was really hard. It was really, really hard. So at some point, I was living in London at the time, and I went back to Spain, where I'm from, and I went to my mom's gynecologist. This is the man that kind of brought me into this life. I was born in his hands, and he was one of those old style doctors that just studied nonstop, and he would take about an hour and a half, every time you would sit with him. So his waiting room, it was like women sitting there for hours and hours until late in the evening, because he didn't care. He would just take all the time in the world.
Which is nice.
So, which was so nice, right? So he was like, look, he did an ultrasound, and he said, look, this looks like endometriosis. And I was like, what is that? Endo what? And so I remember he was drawing everything and said, unfortunately, this is going to be a really difficult path for you. And I want to warn you, it's not going to be easy, because all we know is that, you can take the pill, or we can operate, and there is no other solution. And it basically stayed like that until today. There is no other solution. It's insane, but
That's where we're
very
at.
low funding, so no other solution, very little information yet. So yeah, it was, I remember my 20s and my 30s being really, really hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what did that feel like emotionally? Because, like, I'm sure it's a certain prime time of your life and your friends, and you're going through surgeries, and
Yeah.
um, other friends are not going through that. And I mean, in a total of time, yeah, you said it went from your 20s into your 30s because you had multiple surgeries. So
Yeah. I
didn't
had,
get resolved overnight.
yes, and then other problems came, but yeah, it was 6 surgeries total. And emotionally speaking, Suzanne, I'm glad you asked that question, because I suffered a lot in silence. There was this layer of embarrassment, as I said, I've always been a, responsible, hardworking person. I was doing very well in my career, but there was this kind of parallel life of pain, and I would just get ibuprofen nonstop, painkillers,
Hmm.
maximum possible,
Yeah.
number of milligrams, so that I could live, let's call it normal life during those approximately 1.5 weeks, and think about it, 1.5 weeks every single month for years and years,
Yeah.
right? That's a
Yeah.
long time. That's
Yeah. That's
an
a long time.
interesting, it's kind of like in a way, almost a third of every month that you're suffering, right? So,
Yes. And you probably
um,
thought, oh, initially, because not knowing what endometriosis it, you're just like you said, I'm thinking, oh, this is how my body is, and I have to live with it. I have more difficult, painful periods or that time of the month than my other friends. This is just what it is, and
right.
you try to navigate. But yeah, and by the grace, it sounds like, gosh, you went to someone who was knowledgeable enough and took time enough to listen and do the right things versus a story of going to, and I haven't shared that, but like going to multiple doctors and waiting for years to someone give you an answer. And I mean, that's, you know, a little angel in the path there. That's very nice.
For sure.
Get a direct answer. Did you ever think that when you were coping with things that you were exaggerating or being too sensitive about your situation? Or I don't know, like you said, you had to be in silence, so I don't know if anyone really gave you any you know, support outside of yourself, right? Which is um,
Yeah. Look, the people closest to me were very supportive. Um, the my support network were fantastic.
that's good.
um the silence was more in the workplace, and I didn't want to share it in the workplace, and that was a mistake. Really, that was a mistake, because
Mm.
I just coped with it, and some days really were pretty unbearable. And so, I remember once going to work and fainting on my way to work, and then kind of like, picking myself up, grabbing a coffee, getting in the car and driving.
Gee,
I mean, what the heck, was I thinking?
I
I
don't,
mean, it's
I
not
don't
even,
know.
it's even dangerous to do that,
Right.
but
But I think that's
um,
the mentality we came from is, now, it's funny when people go into the workplace sick, and I think where we are today, it's like, don't you know, we don't do that anymore. We don't go in sick and try to push through. We actually take time out so other people don't get sick. But I hope that there's a little more self-care and awareness. But back then, like you said, go grab a coffee. I'm okay. Wow, that's pushing through for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was at a Starbucks in London when that happened. I will never forget. And the,
yeah.
the, the barista was like, oh my God, like waking me up, and you fainted. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm fine. I'm fine. Right. And I
Yeah.
wasn't. And I wasn't. So it's crazy how I agree with you, Suzanne. And this is a major, important message to everyone. We don't have to push through if we're
Right.
not feeling well. It sounds so simple, actually, but
Right.
I had this huge sense of responsibility, and I've learned that, and I do that with my team now. When you take, oh, I'll check email. No, you're not allowed to check email, right? You
Yeah.
should take time off.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was really difficult. I mean, we're talking 20 years ago, a very different way of dealing with things. There was no remote work, zero.
Right.
It was,
There's that.
oh
Yes.
my gosh, I remember
Right.
that was viewed as evil.
Yes.
Like,
Wow.
Work from home, forget about it.
Yeah.
So
When, at what point after, was it during your surgeries, during diagnosis? At like what point did you begin to become your own health advocate, and what did it start to mean for you?
um, at the age of 39, I had surgery, the last one, and that was my wake up call. That was just horrendous when I woke up, and of course they had warned me, look, this looks very severe. It looks like you might have endometriosis all over your reproductive organs. So we might have to not perform laparoscopy, but open you up and remove all organs. Of course, I had to give consent. And they said, it's very likely we might have to do that. And that means full hysterectomy, right? And that means surgical menopause, and that has other consequences. So I woke up, and my goodness, it was pretty shocking to see, this. They had to open me up completely, cut my colon and excision and colon resection, and um, it was pretty traumatic.
Yeah.
6 hour surgery, right?
Yeah.
So that was, I often say, Hormone University and our brand, Glow by Hormone University, was born that day. They were born that day. Because I had so many questions, and there is so much time doctors can give you, right?
Right.
And I also realized this is not endometriosis. This is not just menopause, surgical menopause. We have to just name all the symptoms. We kind of group them, and it's not menopause. It's your sleep being disturbed. It's your night sweats. It's your hot flashes. It's your libido going down the drain, and brain fog. And it's
Yeah.
each
So,
symptom is important.
yeah.
It's not just let's put everything under menopause or
When
whatever that condition
you saw
is.
the gaps, I think, definitely. I mean, you saw the gaps where, like you said, you go to your doctor and they might help you with the surgery, or,
Yeah.
I mean, I know for me, I went to a specialist for hormones because my doctor, would look at the labs and say everything's fine. I mean, she wouldn't even be able to tell me I was in perimenopause when I was. So it was just, that simple testing. But how did it change your perspective on healthcare? I mean, I think I like how you described, each symptom has you like almost like unique care, and not every woman is experiencing every symptom. So they kind of, we can't group every woman into the same thing, same experience. So,
That's right.
yeah.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, exactly. And I think you just mentioned something very important. And this is why we created so much content at Hormone University. Hormone testing. But hormone testing, again, our bodies have a beautiful orchestra of chemical messengers, which are our hormones. So one hormone, one messenger will talk to the other hormone, right? So, for example, stress levels, cortisol is up. If we maintain those stress levels constant, we might get what is called cortisol poisoning. This will cause major inflammation, bloating, water retention. I mean, it has so many consequences. And so that might then lead into you can't sleep. And that might lead also into your mood. You're more, sensitive,
irritated. Yeah.
irritated. So this is why I think that, and by the way, regarding hormone testing, is not just about progesterone, estrogen, testosterone. We've got to look at how are vitamins, what are those levels like? Minerals, very important. Zinc, hugely important. B12, hugely important for low energy. So, vitamin D, of course, bone health. So, and it's a hormone in itself. So, what I like to try and we do as best as we possibly can is educate yourself before you go to the doctor. Listen to your body before you go to the doctor. Write down everything you're going through and then write down those questions because you know, we can't just take whatever they tell us to do.
Sure. Yeah, and
So I
I think each doctor, I mean, at this stage of, midlife, you, I've realized I go to some doctors, it's based on their knowledge, but also experience and beliefs. Some doctors have different experience and different beliefs that they add to their, knowledge and
that's right.
have a very direct way of how they respond to all their patients, and then you could go to another doctor and it could be completely different. Even having something as simple as foot surgery, I definitely did my research. I went to probably five different doctors, and it's just amazing how some of them think alike, and then there are some that think very differently. So, knowing that, or knowing not that your first doctor is the right doctor and has the right plan for you, it's just unless it aligns with what you're feeling. But that's where the part of your own advocate came in. And you talked about women just, I'm so happy we live in these times where someone like you has created something. There's other organizations that have created, we're talking about it, where before, like you said, I mean, when I was younger, if I was going through anything like that, it would be mainly in silence. My mom didn't talk about menopause. My grandmothers didn't talk about menopause or just anything related to hormone health. That was not going on at all. What were some of the things that you kept hearing over and over from, people, other women that you spoke to? Were they hungry for information? What were you finding that helped you create Hormone University and collect the educational empowerment?
Yeah. So many women didn't even know that they could test their hormones. They related that or connected that just to fertility. And that was a wow, like how crazy is that,
Right.
And so that's when we made the decision to create several articles about hormone testing, which you can find on our website. The other side of hormone balance and how nutritional lifestyle can really, really affect hormone balance. That was also a big surprise for me as well. How crucial everything we do on a daily basis impacts our hormones. So, from not having coffee first thing in the morning, but maybe waiting half an hour, get some
I'm
water
like,
with
I'm just
lemon.
learning that now post menopause. I'm kind of late to the game, but I'm working with a nutritionist just to, because coffee would be the first thing before water or other things. And that's, doesn't help you in midlife.
That's right. So water with lemon first thing in the morning, have a full glass, wait a little bit, then have your coffee. Have protein in the morning. So, so all these lifestyle nutrition aspects, doctors don't know that because they're not trained.
Right.
So, it's not in the syllabus of medicine. And so this was also like a massive discovery for me. And I kind of felt sad because now I know so much more, and I keep learning, of course. It's never ending. If
Yeah.
I only knew about how nutrition could have helped me with endometriosis, it would have made a huge difference to my quality of life.
Wow.
Anti-inflammatory foods, and of course, avoiding habits and certain foods.
Yeah.
It's, it's,
Yeah.
I'm glad I know that now, but you would be so surprised how many people don't correlate
Right.
nutrition with hormone balance
Right.
and having that equilibrium, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I mean,
exercise, meditation, managing stress levels. Probably the number one I would say to anybody is manage your stress levels.
yeah.
Number one.
Yeah, and that's interesting that you say that. I think I had another guest who also mentioned that, and the trainer that I'm working with, because, and I could, some of the things you mentioned, I was like, oh, I probably didn't know that at the time, because I had this inflammation that I could not get rid of, and I thought it would just, quote, go away. It's just like extra weight, it'll go away. I just keep doing the same things. And I was doing CrossFit before my body shut down physically. It just, a lot of pain, joint pain, all these inflammation things coming up. And so, it's just because I didn't know. I thought, oh, I'm strong in my late 40s. I can still do this. But what you're talking about, the high cortisol, the stress on the body, this is not the time to put the stress on the body. But that's a whole different message, right? About how we exercise, how that affects just the littlest of things that could make a huge difference. So I think I love what you've created, because you must have a vision for what an informed woman or informed women look like today. Like, there's so much room to grow in that, right? You're getting them the information, and I just, it's amazing. I don't know if you have any, you know, feedback that you get, or success stories, or just what kind of
Oh
community.
yeah. Yeah, that's my favorite part, of course, and that's what keeps me going, because it's very hard to create something from zero, right?
Mhm.
And we created the first platform dedicated to hormonal health and the line of products, which
Mhm.
was, of course, a huge amount of work, research, formulations. We've got an incredible medical board. Otherwise, it would be pretty difficult to do it.
Right.
And we would never just launch some sort of, generic, non-researched supplement. There are unfortunately too many of those out there. And we took a different approach, which was topicals and powdered,
Mhm.
because the microbiome, everything we learned about the microbiome, is again, there is so much just on that
Yeah, there's,
subject.
yeah.
So yeah, the testimonials we get. I mean, I talk to our customers. I send emails to them. I want to talk to them, and I've had people cry saying, "You've changed my life.
Mm.
I've been looking for the right support, supplementation. I couldn't find it." And I've had men writing to us. We've got a product called Intimate Hydrator, which is the only product, or at least we don't know of any other, that has collagen. And we've had men saying, "You've saved our marriage." So,
Mm.
you know, it's really what gives me the strength to
Yeah,
continue.
you're making an impact. And I just remember my moments of, if I didn't have a friend who told me to go to more of a specialist, it's not like I could go to my family. My mom didn't really go through anything, and my sisters, I'm the oldest, so it was like, where would I go if I didn't have certain people, or things in my path. And now that you've created this, like you said, there's information out there that wasn't too long ago that we didn't
Yeah.
have. But when a woman has that breaking point moment, you so need a relief and to get answers. You just want a few answers, or not someone to tell you that, oh, it's aging or something else that's going on, and just to live with it. So it's so nice that we don't have to do that today. Um, and yeah, the physical part of surgical menopause, I really haven't spoken about that on this podcast. I'm so glad you're here just to acknowledge all the women that have gone through that, may go through that in the future, is because it's real. And I just had a friend who had to have surgery last Friday. I don't think she had endometriosis, but she definitely had, like, just her body entering perimenopause, the fibroids, the changes, and just having to go to surgery for her body changing and starting to get answers. And that's her journey. Um, what is one of the top things that you want any woman to know, that who may have to have surgical menopause, from your experience? Like, what's top of mind as something really important to know, or how to care for
Yes.
yourself?
Yes. Well, it depends if they remove, if it's a full hysterectomy, right?
Yeah.
Or just you know, they might leave the ovaries, right? So I can talk about full hysterectomy, which is removal of everything.
Yeah.
Um, Look, it's so important to think about prevention, because this is a very extreme accelerated menopause. So it's very aggressive to the body all of a sudden not to have ovaries, and uterus, etc. And so what I would say is, you're going to have extreme hot flashes, extreme night sweats. You're going to feel very sad. You're going to cry about everything. And so it's very difficult physically, but also psychologically. There is also that aspect of, depending on the age, but it's kind of like, where is my femininity, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a uterus anymore. I don't have ovaries anymore. It's really a very strange feeling,
Yeah.
and
Because you're
it's
the
not
femininity tied to our bodies, that whereas a whole person, body, mind, and spirit, they're, like you're describing, it's tied to parts of our body. So
right.
yeah.
And for me, it was I really wanted to have children, and obviously that was over. So depending, of course, on what you want in life, there is, that's a difficult thing to come to terms with. So I'm a huge proponent of preparing yourself, and I would say, read and talk to people who have gone through it, so you don't feel alone. That's very, very important. That's my number one advice.
Yeah.
Number two is, all of those symptoms that are going to come like a tsunami, right? You need to really understand what options you have. So in my case, I was, I was given hormonal treatment. I had a terrible side effect. So after about 4 to 6 months, I can't remember, I had to stop it immediately. And thankfully, we were developing our own product line, which saved my life. But you might not be able, for medical reasons, genetic reasons, you might not be able to take
Yeah.
HRT. Or you might prefer not to take HRT. So in that case, really research the products that you can take that are hormone free, right? Do your research and make sure they don't have any endocrine disrupting chemicals,
Mm-hmm.
and they're kind of like soft on your body. So we took we have Menopause SOS, which is exactly for that, right? And I said that earlier, but two major things is stress management. It will affect you in every single way.
Yeah.
Nutrition and
Yeah.
the spirit, lifestyle, whether you pray, meditate, you have to look after your mind because it's a lot to take. It really
Yeah.
is a lot to take.
It's a heavy load, and I love that. Um, I love to highlight that on every podcast that I can for women, because we're so used to supporting others to get the support that they need in times of help, crisis, whatever it is. A
Yes.
major life event is just, you talked about having a good support system around you, and that's just so important. And if it's not, an immediate family or friends, there are groups, hopefully, or other women, like you said, that have gone through it, and just to connect with them and have that peace of mind, like, oh, I'm not alone. I am not alone. I don't need to be in silence. What would you like to see in the next 10 years around, specifically, surgical menopause or endometriosis? What would you like to see change or be available?
I I want more research into what affects us. I would love to see more funding going into women's health.
Yeah.
And what I mean by more, I mean at least three times more funding to what we're seeing right now, minimum. And I I would love to see how, and this is already happening, how we can, how the medical field and research really gets a lot more advanced in things that are not pharmacological, meaning nutrition, lifestyle habits, etc. I'm shocked that it had to, we're in 2026 and
Right.
it's crazy, right? So, and then the other one, which is something very interesting we've been reading about and doing some research, is how do we preserve our ovaries for much longer to
Yes.
delay menopause, right? To make sure that we try to keep our hormone levels as healthy as possible for as long as possible. So that's something I'm delighted that it's happening already. They're looking into it.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, and just to kind of end our conversation a little more focused to women out there who may be experiencing symptoms or hurting or just entering menopause and hitting a breaking point. These things aren't things that you necessarily, you didn't choose these things to come about into your life, but you did choose what to do with what happened to you. And what has been the, I don't know, maybe one of the miracles inside one of your hardest chapters?
Hmm. There has been a lot of miracles, very unexpected people, low probability, high impact. Low probability of meeting someone that can change the trajectory of your company. And I have been so extremely lucky to have met some of those that have truly supported us. One of them is a very, very well-known actor and his wife. And I mean, I would have never thought that, a few years ago, right? Was even a possibility.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, my gosh, the testimonials are probably the best miracles. Is
Yeah.
when somebody tells us that we've changed their lives, we've improved their everyday quality of life.
Yeah.
That in itself is major, because that not only that changes that woman's life. It changes her relationship with her partner. It changes how she feels every day. So it's a
Impacts the
society impact.
family. Yeah, the
Yeah,
family. It impacts your workplace because if
for
your
sure.
family feeling
More
better because
productive.
there is some kind of percentage. I had heard a stat about women leaving the workplace because
Yes.
menopause affects them in such a hard way and they're not sure what's going on, or maybe they don't have the support yet. And let's hope more and more of that doesn't happen going forward. What has this journey taught you about your own strength?
Oh gosh. I never thought I never thought I could be so strong. I'm gonna get emotional now because um it's been really hard. But you never know. You never know what you're capable of achieving. I never thought about becoming an entrepreneur. It's extremely difficult,
It's not for the faint of heart.
for sure. I mean, it is. It's a very. I when I get, future founders asking me, oh, so what's your advice? I always say, don't think about it too much if you want to do it, because I'm telling you, don't
What you
think about
don't
it too
know
much.
is probably better.
Yes, just do it. Don't think about it, because if you think about it, I mean, it's a mission. It's a life's
Yeah.
mission.
Yes.
Yeah,
You got to have a
so,
strong why of why you're doing this.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's when
yes.
you go read your testimonials. Those days that you're like, why am I doing this again? But well, for women out there listening, the permission to do one thing differently when it comes to their health, what permission would you want to give them?
Not to be silent.
Not to be
Put
silent.
yourself first. We're very good as women to help others. We have to really put ourselves first. We have to give love to ourselves, and and really prioritize our health more than we do,
Especially in
because
midlife.
in midlife the consequences can be pretty brutal sometimes. And
Yeah.
we really, I heard a stat the other day that I was kind of shocked. Women, just doesn't matter who you are, what your genetic makeup is, we just come with it. So already 12.5% opportunity, or sorry, chance of getting breast cancer. Just like that,
Mm-hmm.
12.5%. That's very high.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we really have to, that's the
Care.
biggest thing. Don't stay silent,
Yeah.
learn,
Yeah.
advocate for yourself, sign up to our newsletter. It's called The Waiting Room for a reason.
I love that.
Because
Yes.
you have to really create those questions in that waiting room, so that you can advocate for yourself.
Yeah. What is, complete this sentence? Your body deserves.
Love and care.
Nice. Yes. And so we're going to end with some rapid fire just to, I know that this for some can be, and thank you so much. I can imagine every time sharing your story, it's just very personal and also heartfelt and just, a story that brings emotion up. So I appreciate you being vulnerable and
Thank you.
sharing your story here with women. And I can't wait till they get to visit the site and what you've created. But to lighten the end of our time together, what is your favorite midlife beverage?
Oh gosh, I love making myself smoothies.
Okay.
So that's my favorite. And kind of like vegetable juices. I would go for uh carrot, ginger, apple juice. That's my favorite thing.
Love it. How many hours of sleep do you get per night?
I try to get 8.
Way to go. I'm still on 7, working on 8, coming from being a 5 to 6 hour person. But favorite form of movement?
Dancing.
Oh, I love that. One thing that instantly makes you feel good?
Music.
One hormone myth you wish would disappear forever?
Let me think about it.
Okay.
And there are so many of them.
Okay. How about one symptom you wish women would stop dismissing?
Vaginal dryness.
Good one. We just talked about that, I think, 2 podcasts ago. So, yes, that's a thing for sure. And getting to talk about it is important. One thing you should do every day for your own hormonal health.
Breath work.
Love that. What was one word that would describe your midlife chapter so far?
Confident.
Love it. What are you saying yes to more right now?
Friends and family.
And finally, what is the one thing you want every woman to know? I mean, I'm sure you've highlighted things in our talk today, but is there one last thing that you want every woman to know about her body?
You have one body, one life. Prioritize it, please.
Yeah, good one. I thank you so much for being here and sharing not only what you've learned, but what you've lived. And so where women, our listeners, can find you at Hormone University is simply www.hormoneuniversity.com, correct?
Yes, that's right.
And you talked about you could subscribe to the newsletter, The Waiting Room, to receive updates on content, news. Is there anything else that you want to direct women to outside of those 2 things, or?
It's either hormoneuniversity.com or glow by hormoneuniversity.com if you want to find out about our product line.
Yeah, beautiful product line.
Thank
Thank
you.
you again. And I think there is such an important distinction between being told, listen to your body, and actually trusting yourself enough to do something when your body is talking. And maybe that's the bigger miracle in Anna's story. She experienced pain, uncertainty, infertility surgeries, and surgical menopause, but instead of allowing those experiences to be the end of the story, she turned them into a reason to ask better questions, learn more, and help other women become more informed advocates for themselves. If there is one thing I hope you take away from today's conversation, it's this. You don't have to know everything about your body to advocate for it. You simply have to be willing to listen, ask questions, keep learning. And when something doesn't feel right, give yourself permission enough to say, I know my body, I want to understand what's happening, and I deserve to be heard, because this is your body, as Anna had shared with us, and this is your health, and this is your life. And if this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to like, follow, or subscribe. If you have a minute, leave us a review and tell us what stood out to you. Your review helps other midlife women find these conversations too. And if you have a question, a story, a topic you'd like to share on a future episode, you can reach me at yourmidlifewingwoman@gmail.com. I'm Suzanne, your midlife wingwoman, reminding you that midlife isn't the end of your story. Sometimes it's finally when you become the author. And until next time, take care of yourself, keep asking questions, and keep moving forward to feeling more like you. Bye for now.